Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic today, Aubrey. How are you?
Great. I have a question. When
Okay.
you were a kid, what did your parents say to tell you dinner was ready?
Oh, what
Something
did
they
they tell me? They said dinner's ready.
They just said, "Dinner's ready."
Yeah,
My
yeah.
mom always said, "Wash up for dinner." Every
Oh
time.
my
Every time. That's how we knew dinner
gosh.
was ready. Would hear her yell, "Wash up for dinner."
Wash up for dinner. I love it. I love it.
What
Yeah,
does that mean, wash up, Lindsay?
means wash your hands. So
Wash
go
your
and
hands,
wash your
right?
hands, right? And get ready for dinner.
Yeah.
So many
We
different things are said, and it says so much about our families, right?
True.
Really
Exactly.
interesting. Do we have
Well, and
a
it probably
list
was
of
because we were playing outside. So we were probably all muddy and filthy often, right? We were like playing outside on a farm. So it was like dinner's
how
ready. It's like,
lucky?
come in and wash your hands.
Oh, you had a good life, a good childhood,
Yes,
right? I
for
love
sure.
that.
We
That's
got a
that's a good
great question about this phrasal verb, wash up, and other phrasal verbs with wash. There are so many in English, and we're going to dive into some of these today.
Yeah, guys, by the way, don't forget to send your topic questions into support@ellersenglish.com and we'll make sure they get on our list if they're a good specific question. Here's the question.
Absolutely.
Could you please help me out with a phrasal verb like wash over me and wash up, especially because I was confused when someone said the wreckage washed up months later. Thank you so much for your help. And this is from one of our loyal listeners.
Yes, such a great question. And I can see where this would be confusing if you're reading an article and it says the
Mhm.
wreckage washed up. And the only time you've seen wash up is to mean wash your hands, right? Wash
Mhm.
something. That's a totally different meaning of the same
Mhm.
phrasal verb.
Yes. Oh my gosh, really interesting. I love this. Guys, before we get into the answer for our listener today, don't forget the best place to get transcripts for the podcast, get tappable keywords that you can save to your power list is inside our iOS Android app. Aubrey, where can we get the app?
Yeah, go to allearsenglish.com/app, APP. This is the best place to add vocabulary to your list. It's really easy. We organize it for you. So then
Mhm.
5, 6, 7 keywords every
Mhm.
transcript, every episode, you're going to be able to add to your own vocabulary list.
Yeah, so go over, use the app to make your own list. Good stuff. Okay, Aubrey, where should we start? The question was about wash up, right?
Exactly, and wash over me. But let's dive in
Mhm.
first to wash up. This does have two very distinct meanings.
Okay.
The first is the wreckage washed up months later. That means to wash up on shore, on a beach. So something
Okay.
was in the ocean or maybe a sea, a really big lake, and the waves pushed it onto the beach. So we'd say it
Mm.
washed up on the beach by
Okay.
ending up on the beach after it was out in the water.
This happened to me once. I was in Block Island in Rhode Island, which is kind of it's like a version of Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket, but less yuppie, less
Okay,
fancy. It's a better Nantucket. And
nice.
I was down on the beach, and we were walking around on the beach. It was a cloudy day. All of a sudden, we look over there, and there's a huge whale carcass. Just
Oh,
a
goodness.
huge whale. I'd never seen anything like it before. The whale
Wow.
carcass was washed up on the beach. It was super cool. It was a really cool experience, actually.
Wow.
There's real nature right there in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had a different I'm like, "Oh, that's so
I
sad.
know.
Oh,
I
well," and
felt
you're
that
like, "It was
too.
so cool." I'm like,
I
"Lindsay, a whale died. That's not
I
cool."
no, don't worry. That feeling was in there too, but it
For
was
sure,
more just the stark size of it, and
I'm
it
sure.
inspired a sense of awe. Awe
Yes,
about
an
nature,
awe at
right?
nature,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's one
Mhm.
thing to see whales breaching in the distance when
Yes.
it's right there washed up on the shore.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's crazy how gigantic it is.
Incredible. Incredible. So what else do we need to know here, Aubrey?
Yeah, so this can happen animals, of course, but also like if someone loses jewelry, you'd say, I lost my necklace in the water, but it washed up on the shore the next day. So this is
Mhm.
just a phrasal verb that we use to mean something came from the water and ended up on shore, on the beach.
But then what your parents said to you was not anything about something coming up onto the beach, right?
Exactly. It's the same phrasal verb, wash up, which means to either wash oneself, your hands, your body. I'm going to go wash up. I will say this after playing sand volleyball because I'll have sand all on my feet and legs from diving in the sand. I'm like, I'm just going to go wash up really quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
also, we use it to mean like to clean up after a meal or wash the dishes, right? I might
Mhm,
say, I'll wash up. You guys go sit and chat. That means I'm going to do the
mhm.
dishes and clean the kitchen.
I love it. And then we could say wash away if we want to add the preposition away. And this is to be removed by water. So I might actually say, in my style, I might say, I'm going to wash away the sand from my
Mm,
legs, right?
yeah.
It's not very natural for me personally to say wash up for whatever reason. I didn't say it as a kid, but I might say wash off the water, wash the water off.
Yeah, we have wash off. We'll just jump to that one here. So that's
Oh,
to
yeah.
remove something from the surface of something by washing. And
Yeah.
that's how I would say that more often too, right? I need to wash the sand off my feet. I need to
Hmm.
wash the dirt off my hands. So we'll say wash off when we're
Yeah.
talking about just like something on the surface. So a few options here, really.
Oh my gosh. What else, Aubrey? What else do we need to know for our listeners?
Yeah. And for wash away, we'll also say this if like imagine after a crime scene and they're asking why don't we have, footprints? Why don't we have this? And they'd say, well, it rained that night. The rain washed away the footprints. So that means it
Mm.
just was removed by water, but we
Mhm.
wouldn't say the rain washed off the footprints, right? If they had been made in mud or in snow or something, then we would say wash away. They got washed away by the rain.
Yes, I love it. And then what about wash down? This is totally different, right?
Right. Yeah. It's crazy how many verbs there are with wash. You add a
Mhm.
preposition, it becomes a totally different meaning. So this
Yes.
means to drink something after eating. So I might say, I ate a handful of pretzels and washed them down with a glass of beer.
Yeah. It's a casual way of saying that you needed liquid
Yeah.
to consume the food, right? Or you're just saying I drank something after that, right?
Exactly. Right. You washed it down.
I love it. And then wash over. Did we talk about that one yet? I don't think
Yeah, this
so.
one's next, and there are two meanings for this. So the
Mm.
first meaning, this is kind of a crazy one because the meanings are complete opposites.
Oh
So
no.
first, it means to affect someone strongly. So for
Mhm.
example, waves of nausea washed over him, and that means he was very nauseated, right? Wasn't feeling well. I'd always say, oh, waves of this. Or waves of anger or irritation might wash over someone. It means they're being very affected by it.
Oh my gosh. And then the second meaning, literally, I've never thought about this before, Aubrey, but the second meaning is literally the exact opposite. We're going to have to do a separate episode, maybe in a couple months, just about these two, the two
Or I
meanings
bet
of
we could
wash
find a
over.
few other phrasal verbs that do
Yeah.
this, where it's
Yeah.
the exact same verbs with opposite
Oh.
meanings. So this one, the opposite meaning is to happen to someone without affecting them. Like, for example, if someone insulted me, I might say, I let her insults wash over me. That means I didn't let them affect me at
Mm.
all. I just totally ignored them.
So, how would our listeners know from the context which one
This
it
is
is? I mean,
tricky.
I
I
think,
think
well,
just the context, right? What are they
Mhm.
saying? Because you wouldn't say that, if you're talking about nausea, right? Waves of
Yeah.
nausea washed over him. That's not something that you wouldn't care about, wouldn't let affect you. Like that clearly means they
Right.
were being affected by that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then insults, this is sort of the tricky one because it could be that you let it affect you really strongly, right? Her insults washed over me, meaning
Sure.
like they really affected me a lot. So it's
Sure,
all
sure.
going to be about intonation, I think.
I think there's context here too. It's intonation, it's what do you know about that person and what their attitude is, right? Are they easily hurt or not?
Yeah.
I think the verb let gives us a little bit of a clue. I allowed something to
Mm.
just not impact me.
Yeah, interesting. Because I
And
could
then
say, I let her insults wash over me, meaning they didn't affect. But then if it's like, I let her insults. Well, I agree. I wouldn't say I let her insults wash over me if they really affected me. I might say like her insults really washed over me, and that then I'm saying they
yes.
like did affect me.
So it's kind of the words around it. And then
Yeah.
the other piece I would say is body language. I think someone might tend to shrug their shoulders like they don't care when they say that. "Nah, I let her insults wash over me.
Good point. So you're
You
hearing
know?
it in your intonation, and there probably would be body language as well that you're being
Yeah.
like, "Nah, I didn't care. It didn't bother me."
Ooh, I love the idea of another episode in the future of taking 2 or 3 of these phrasal verbs that have exactly the opposite meanings.
Yeah, let's do it. Hit follow, guys, so you don't miss that episode. That's gonna be
That's gonna be
interesting.
a really good one. All right, good stuff. Okay, Aubrey, we are back from break, and here in our signature role play, you are attending a dinner party at my house. Well, that's good because I love to host dinner parties. I love
Perfect,
that.
because I love to
Yes.
attend dinner parties. I like to host too.
Perfect.
All right,
Here
I'll
we
start
go.
us.
Mhm.
I'm just going to wash up. I was painting our kitchen today and just noticed I still have paint on my hands that I need to wash off.
We've been meaning to paint. It's such a big job, though. Waves of anxiety just wash over me whenever I think about tackling that project.
Ugh. Also, I need to take some ibuprofen. Can I trouble you for a glass of water to wash it down with?
Of course, I'll grab one for you. Nice. Yes.
Nice. We
And I
used
could
all of these.
see, yeah, we used a lot of them, but pretty natural conversation at the same time, right?
Absolutely. That's what's tricky or what's interesting about phrasal verbs. They
Mhm.
have such different meanings that native speakers, as we're using them, we're not even really thinking about how they're related to wash or that wash is part of it because the meanings are so different. So you might
Yes.
hear them all in one conversation like this.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go through it. So here you first said, I'm just going to wash up. So do you mean you're going to wash dishes or wash your car? Or what are you
Yeah,
saying
you'd
here,
have to
Aubrey?
know from context, right? I mean, I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm just gonna wash
Yes.
up means I'm going to wash my hands.
Mhm.
But if it's after dinner and I'm offer or especially if it's at my house, I think I'd say, I'm gonna
Mm.
wash up. I wouldn't say that at someone else's house. I'd be like, can I help clean up?
Right, that's really interesting too. There's a kind of like a homey meaning to wash up, right? It's
Yeah,
like
it
a
definitely implies like you're cleaning your
yeah,
own mess or your
your own
kitchen,
mess.
right? You wouldn't
Interesting.
offer to help at someone else's house saying, like, can I wash up? Or can I help you wash
Hmm.
up? No,
That's really
that's not how I would
subtle.
say it.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's interesting. It's important to
Yeah,
know.
for sure.
And then you said, and just notice I still have paint on my hands that I need to wash off. Okay. So
Right.
now
So I'm
we're
saying,
kind of,
I'm gonna go
yeah.
wash up. Like I'm saying, like, oh, I need to wash my hands before I eat. And then I
Hmm.
say, I've realized I have paint on my hands that I need to wash off. I could even say
Off.
scrub off because when you have paint on your
Mm.
hands, it isn't usually just like rinse really easy. It's like you're gonna have to wash
Right.
it off.
Scrub, yeah, scrub your hands for sure. Fascinating. And then you said, "We've been meaning to paint. It's just such a big job, though. Waves of anxiety wash over me whenever I think about tackling that project." So, is this kind of the more serious one where it actually takes you over, or do you just let it go and you don't care?
Yeah, this is interesting because this is both in the vocabulary and the way you said it. If you go back and listen to Lindsay's
Mhm.
intonation, first of all,
Anxiety.
if you're saying waves of anxiety, you're not going to be like, oh, those waves of anxiety didn't bother me at all. No, you would say
No.
this differently. You would choose different vocabulary, right?
Yes.
Anxiety on its own is already heavy. And then also your intonation. You were like, waves of anxiety wash over me whenever I think about. So we could hear the seriousness in the way you said it.
Yeah, and it's also just a common conversation topic you might have with friends that are homeowners. Oh, yeah, I know I need to redo my kitchen and this and that. And you're always talking about things you need to, at least in my
For
circle, people
sure.
talking about things they need to fix in their house. They want
Right.
to upgrade their kitchens, their bathrooms, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Right?
but maybe if you're using the word stress and someone's asking if something's stressing you out, be like, "No, I'm just letting that stress wash over me." And that's when you're saying, like, "I'm not letting it affect me at all," but you would
Mhm.
use a less serious word, maybe stress instead of anxiety.
Interesting. Well, there's a lot of subtleties here today, Aubrey.
Sure.
And then you said, I need to take some ibuprofen. Can I trouble you for a glass of water to wash it down with?
Yeah, and so
So,
this is that you just need liquid to wash something down. We'll often say this with medicine, food as well, but I kind
mhm.
of love this little bonus of saying, "Can I trouble you for something?" when you're asking for
Hmm.
something. I do this a lot. I wouldn't be like, "Can I have a glass of water?" Like I often will try to be more polite and I'll say it this way, "Can I trouble you for a glass of water?"
Right, you might feel like a kid might say, "Can I have a glass of water?" Right? Just
Yes,
very matter of fact, but as an
direct.
adult, you might wanna be a little more polite, a little more delicate about it, right?
Right, and this is one of
Yeah.
those options, one of the ways that we ask politely for something.
Yes. Guys, go to episode 2408 when you finish up today. The episode is called Effect or Effect: How to Avoid This Common English Mistake, where we battled it out around those two words, right? The very common mistake for our listeners.
Yes, and we gave you pro tips of how to know which to use, right? One's what's spelled with an A, one's with an E. They sound the same, so this is very tricky. Don't miss that episode to find out which to use.
Yes, I love it. And I think a connection moment here is about, kind of remembering the phrases we used as kids in our households. You started the episode today by asking me that. That's a conversation that, you could have with a native speaker. And that could evoke positive memories for people, for sure.
Absolutely, right? Anytime you talk about childhood like that, especially something very simple like this, right? What did your
Mhm.
parents say to call you in for dinner, to let you know dinner was ready? It'd be interesting. Everyone's probably going to have a different answer.
Yeah, so start a conversation about that. Why not? And hit follow so that you're ready for that upcoming episode coming up in the next few months about comparing phrasal verbs that are exactly the same but have opposite meanings. I'm excited.
Yes, that's going to be a good one. Hit follow, guys.
All right, good stuff. See you next time, Aubrey. Have a good one.
Awesome. You too. Bye.
Bye.